was the sweetest, most mysterious-looking place anyone could imagine. The high walls which shut it in were covered with the leafless stems of climbing roses, which were so thick that they were matted together. Mary Lennox knew they were roses because she had seen a great many roses in India. All the ground was covered with grass of a wintry brown, and out of it grew clumps of bushes which were surely rose bushes if they were alive. There were numbers of standard roses which had so spread their branches that they were like little trees. There were other trees in the garden, and one of the things which made the place look strangest and loveliest was that climbing roses had run all over Pem and swung down long tendrils which made light swaying. Curtains, and here and there they had caught at each other or at a origin branch and had crept from one tree to another and made lovely bridges of them. There were neither leaves nor roses on them now, and Mary did not know whether they were dead or alive, but their thin grey or brown branches and sprays looked like a sort of hazy mantle spreading over everything, walls and trees and even brown grass, where they had fallen from their fastenings and run along the ground. It was this hazy tangle from tree to tree which made it all look so mysterious. Mary had thought it must be different from other gardens which had not been left all by themselves so long. And indeed it was different from any other place she had ever seen in her life. "Stillness, how still it is," she whispered. "How still I." Then she waited a moment and listened at the 𝗪𝗪𝗏, who had flown to his treetop, was still as all the rest. He did not even flute to his wings. He sat without stirring, and looked at Mary. "No wonder it is still," she whispered again. "I am the first person who has spoken in here for 10 years. She moved away from the door, stepping as softly as if she were afraid of awakening someone. She was glad that there was grass under her feet and that her steps made no sounds. She walked under one of the fairy-like grey arches between the trees and looked up at the sprays and tendrils which formed them. "I wonder if they are all quite dead," she said. "Is it all a quite dead garden? I wish it wasn't." If she had been Ben Weatherstaff, she could have told whether the wood was alive by looking at it, but she could only see that there were only grey or brown sprays and branches, and none showed any signs of even a tiny leaf bud anywhere. But she was inside the wonderful garden, and she could come through the door under the ivy any time, and she felt as if she had found a world all her own. The sun was shining inside the 4 walls, and the high arch of blue sky over this particular piece of 𝗦𝗪𝗏𝗏 seemed even more brilliant and soft than it was over the moor. The robin flew down from his treetop and hopped about or flew after her from one bush to another. He chirped a good deal and had a very busy air, as if he were showing her things. Everything was strange and silent, and she seemed to be hundreds of miles away from anyone, but somehow she did not feel lonely at all. All that troubled her was her wish that she knew whether all the roses were dead, or if perhaps some of them had lived and might put out leaves and buds as the weather got warmer. She did not want it to be a quite dead garden. If it were a quite alive garden, how wonderful it would be, and what thousands of roses would grow on every side. Her skipping rope had hung over her arm when she came in, and after she had walked about 4 things. A while she thought she would skip round the whole garden, stopping when she wanted to look at. There seemed to have been grass paths here and there, and in 1 or 2 corners there were alcoves of evergreen with stone seats or tall moss-covered flower urns in them. As she came near the second of these alcoves, she stopped skipping. There had once been a flower bed in it, and she thought she saw something stick in out of the black earth, some sharp little pale green points. She remembered what 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 had said, and she knelt down to look at them. Yes, they are tiny growing things, and they might be crocuses or snowdrops or daffodils, she whispered. She bent very close to them and sniffed the fresh scent of the damp earth. She liked it very much. Perhaps there are some other ones coming up in other places, she said. I will go all over the garden and look. She did not skip, but walked. She went slowly and kept her eyes on the ground. She looked in the old border beds and among the grass, and after she had gone round, trying to miss nothing, she had found ever so many more sharp pale green points, and she had become quite excited again. It isn't a quite dead garden, she cried out softly to herself. Even if the roses are dead, there are other things alive. She didn't know anything about gardening, but the grass seemed so thick where the little green points were pushing through. She thought they didn't have room to grow. She found a sharp piece of wood, knelt down, and started to dig and pull out the weeds and grass, making nice little clear places around the green shoots. Now they look as if they can breathe, she said after she finished the first ones. I am going to do so many more. I'll do all I can see. If I don't have time today, I can come back tomorrow. She went from place to place, digging and weeding, and enjoying herself so much that she moved from one flower bed to the next, and even into the grass under the trees. The work made her so warm that she took off her coat, then her hat. Without even realizing it, she was smiling down at the grass and the pale green points the whole time. The robin was incredibly busy, so pleased to see gardening finally starting in his garden. He'd often watched the old gardener, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, and knew that when someone tends a garden, all sorts of delicious things to eat are turned up in the soil. Mistress Mary worked in her garden until it was time for her midday meal. She was actually a bit late remembering it. When she put her coat and hat back on and picked up her skipping rope, she couldn't believe she had been working for 2 or 3 hours. She had been truly happy the whole time, and now dozens and dozens of tiny pale green points stood in cleared spaces, looking twice as cheerful as they had before when the grass and weeds were smothering them. I shall come back this afternoon, she said, looking all around at her new kingdom and speaking to the trees and rose bushes as if they could hear her. Then she ran lightly across the grass, pushed open the slow old door, and slipped back through it under the ivy. She had such red cheeks and such bright eyes, and she ate such a big dinner that her maid, Martha, was absolutely delighted. 2 pieces of meat and 2 helpings of rice pudding. A mother will be so pleased when I tell her what that skipping rope's done for you. What a beautiful story of transformation, both for the garden and for Mary. If you love classic literature as much as I do, make sure to subscribe for more stories like this. Thanks for listening. Have you ever found something mysterious buried in the ground, something that sparked a world of wonder? In our story today, a young girl named Mary is about to uncover a secret that will change her lonely world forever, while exploring the vast, quiet grounds of her new home. Mary was digging with a pointed stick when she unearthed a strange white root, a bit like an onion. She carefully put it back, but her curiosity was piqued. She just had to ask Martha, the housemaid, what it could be. "Martha," she said, "what are those white roots that look like onions?" "They're bulbs," Martha answered warmly. "Lots of spring flowers grow from them. The tiny ones are snowdrops and crocuses, and the big ones are narcissus and daffodils. The biggest of all are lilies and purple flags. Oh, they are so nice. My brother Dickon has a whole lot of them planted in our little garden. Does Dickon know all about them?" Mary asked, a new idea blooming in her mind. "Our Dickon," Martha said with pride, "can make a flower grow out of a brick walk. Mother says he just whispers things out of the ground." Mary's eyes widened. Do bulbs live a long time? Would they live for years and years if no one helped them? She asked anxiously. "They're things that help themselves," said Martha. "That's why even poor folks can have them. If you don't bother them, most will just work away underground for a lifetime, spreading out and having little ones. There's a place in the park woods here where there are thousands of crops. It's the prettiest sight in all of Yorkshire when spring comes. No one even knows when they were first planted. I wish the spring was here now," Mary sighed. "I want to see all the things that grow in England." She had finished her dinner and settled onto her favorite spot on the hearthrug. I wish I had a little spade," she said quietly. Martha laughed. "Whatever do you want a spade for? Are you going to take up digging?" "I must tell Mother that." Mary stared into the fire, thinking carefully. She had to protect her secret kingdom, the hidden garden she had found. If her uncle, Mr. Craven, discovered the open door, he would lock it up forever, and she couldn't bear that thought. "This is such a big, lonely place," she said slowly. "The house is lonely, the park is lonely, and the gardens are lonely. So many places seem shut up. I never did many things in India, but at least there were more people to look at, their soldiers marching by, bands playing, and my ayah told me stories." Mary's wish for a small spade wasn't just about digging. It was about planting a seed of hope in her own lonely heart. What do you think will happen next? Will she get her spade and bring her secret garden back to life? Thanks for joining me for this part of the story. If you're curious to see what Mary does next, make sure to follow along for the next chapter. See you soon. There is no one to talk to here except you and Ben Weatherstaff, and you have to do your work, and Ben Weatherstaff won't speak to me often. I thought if I had a little spade I could dig somewhere as he does, and I might make a little garden if he would give me some seeds. Martha's face quite lighted up. "There now," she exclaimed, "if that wasn't one of th things mother said. She says, there's such a lot o' room in that big place. Why don't they give her a bit for herself, even if she doesn't plant nathin but parsley and radishes? She'd dig and rike away and be right down happy over it." "Them was the very words she said, were they?" said Mary. "How many things she knows, doesn't she?" said Martha. "It's like she says, *A woman as brings up 12 children learns something besides her ABC. Children's as good as 'rithmetic to set you finding out things.'" "How much would a spade cost a little one?" Mary asked. "Well," was Martha's reflective answer, "at Thwaite village there is a shop or so, and I saw little garden sets with a spade and a rake and a fork all tied together for 2 shillings. And they were stout enough to work with too." "I've got more than that in my purse," said Mary. "Mrs. Morrison gave me 5 shillings, and Mrs. Medlock gave me some money from Mr. Craven." "Did he remember thee that much?" exclaimed Martha. "Mrs. Medlock said I was to have a shilling a week to spend. She gives me one every Saturday. I didn't know what to spend it on. My word." "That's riches," said Martha. "Thou can buy anything in th world thou seven wants. Rent of our cottage is only 1 and 3pence UN, and it's like pulling eye teeth to get it. Now I've just thought of something," putting her hands on her hips. "What?" said Mary eagerly. "In the shop at Thwaite they sell packages o' flower seeds for a penny each, and our Dickon he knows which is th prettiest ones and how to make 'em grow. He walks over to Thwaite many a day just for th fun of it. Does thou know how to print letters?" "Suddenly, I know how to write," Mary answered. Martha shook her head. Our Dickon can only read printing. If thou could print, we could write a letter to him and ask him to go and buy th garden tools and th seeds at th same time." "You're a good girl," Mary cried. "You are, really? I didn't know you were so nice. I know I can print letters if I try. Let's ask Mrs. Medlock for a pen and ink and some paper." "I've got some of my own," said Martha. "I bought so I could print a bit of a letter to Mother of a Sunday. I'll go and get it." She ran out of the room, and Mary stood by the fire and twisted her thin little hands together with sheer pleasure. "If I have a spade," she whispered, "I car greater than make the earth nice and soft and dig up weeds. If I have seeds and can make flowers grow the garden, woe aren't be dead at all, it will come alive." She did not go out again that afternoon because when Martha returned with her pen and ink and paper, she was obliged to clear the table and carry the plates and dishes downstairs. And when she got into the kitchen, Mrs. Medlock was there and told her to do something, so Mary waited for what seemed to her a long time before she came back. Then it was a serious piece of work to write to Dickon. Mary had been taught very little because her governesses had disliked her too much to stay with her. She could not spell particularly well, but she found that she could print letters when she tried. This was the letter Martha dictated to her. "Effie, my dear Dickon, this comes hoping to find you well as it leaves me at present. Miss Mary has plenty of money, and will you go to 𝗏𝗏 and buy her some flower seeds and a set of garden tools to make a flower bed? Pick the prettiest ones and easy to grow because she has never done it before and lived in India, which is different. Give my love to mother and every one of you. Miss Mary is going to tell me a lot more so that on my next day out you can hear about elephants and camels and gentlemen going hunting lions and tigers. Your loving sister 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙 𝗦𝗧𝗥𝗔𝗡𝗚𝗃 to take it in his cart. He's a great friend, O Dickens, said Martha. How shall I get the things when Dickon buys them? Asked Mary. He'll bring em to you himself. He'll like to walk over this way. Oh, exclaimed Mary, then I shall see him. I never thought I should see Dickon. Does Tha want to see him? Asked Martha suddenly. She had looked so pleased. Yes, I do. I never saw a boy foxes and crows loved. I want to see him very much. Martha gave a little start, as if she suddenly remembered something. Now, to think, she broke out, to think, oh me, forgetting that the Anne. I thought I was going to tell you first thing this morning. I asked Mother and she said she'd ask Mrs. Medlock her own self. Do you mean, Mary began. What I said Tuesday. Ask her if you might you be driven over to our cottage some day and have a bit o' Mother's hot oat cake and butter and a glass o' milk. It seemed as if all the interesting things were happening in one day. To think of going over the moor in the daylight, and when the sky was to think of going into the cottage which held 12 children, does she think Mrs. Medlock would let me go? Asterisk, she asked, quite anxiously. She thinks she would. She knows what a tidy woman Mother is, and how clean she keeps the cottage. If I went, I should see your mother as well as Dickon, said Mary, thinking it over and liking the idea very much. She doesn't seem to be like the mothers in India. Her work in the garden and the excitement of the afternoon ended by making her feel quiet and thoughtful. Martha stayed with her until tea time, but they sat in comfortable quiet and talked very little. But just before Martha went stairs for the tea tray, Mary asked a question. Martha, she said, has the scullery maid had the toothache again today? Martha certainly started slightly. What makes thee ask that? She said. Because when I waited so long for you to come back, I opened the door and walked down the corridor to see if you were coming. And I heard that far off crying again, just as we heard it the other night. There isn't a wind today, so you see it couldn't have been the wind, eh? Said Martha restlessly. They mustn't go walking about in corridors and listening. Mr. Craven would be that they're angry, there's no knowing what he'd do. Asterisk, I wasn't listening, said Mary. I was just waiting for you and I heard it. That's 3 times, my word. There's Mrs. Medlock's bell, said Martha, and she almost ran out of the room. It's the strangest house anyone ever lived in, said Mary drowsily, as she dropped her head on the cushioned seat of the armchair near her. Fresh air, and digging, and skipping rope had made her feel so comfortably tired that she fell asleep.